Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video on the West Ham Way YouTube channel. Today, we're talking about transfer news. I know January seems like it is a while away, but it comes at you quick, it comes at you fast. And of course, clubs are already preparing for the January transfer window. It's only a month long, so we're going to be getting rumours coming up from now until the transfer window starts in January. And of course, as always, we have a bit of transfer news for you. I think we'll probably start with the striker situation. I think the number one target for West Ham this summer is to try and get a new number 9 in. I know Mikel Antonio has said that he'll be here till he retires and all that sort of stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if perhaps he did get a move away. Of course, Saudi Arabian League is interested in him. Number of Premier League clubs as well that are apparently interested in him. And of course, I don't think it's working out with Danny Ings at the moment either. Moyes seems more content to put Kudus or Paqueta up top in that position than to sub Danny Ings on at the moment. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a move in the Premier League in the January transfer window. He's on big wages. And the two names that are interested in at the moment is Taiwo Awani, playing for Nottingham Forest. Obviously, he's had a mental purple patch at the start of his Premier League season. I believe he's got 3 goals this season so far. So he's doing really well for Nottingham Forest, and he's someone we're interested in. But someone we've got a little bit more concrete interest in is a player called Serhu Guirassy, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And he's been heavily scouted by the club. He's got 13 league goals in 7 games this season, outscoring the likes of Harry Kane for Stuttgart in the Bundesliga. And he has a £17.3 million release clause as well for Stuttgart. So he's someone that I think we're very interested in. Of course, that is being reported by X, who, of course, we take as gospel. I think he looks like a good player. He's got very similar traits to Antonio, big physical striker, got some pace on him. Of course, Bundesliga strikers do tend to struggle when they come over to the Premier League. So whether he'll be able to integrate himself in the side or not, I'm not sure. I still think Antonio will be the starter, but I think we want to get a backup striker who potentially can just cover Antonio, or just, when Antonio's lost his legs in the middle of a game, we could just sort of put him on and see what he can do. I think those are the two players who are interested. And it's nice to see that we're going for the same sort of model as Antonio. Obviously, Awani and Guirassy are quite similar in terms of the build, in terms of their play style. Obviously, we know the Bundesliga tend to play with quite high lines, so there's a lot of space to run in behind. But we've seen big players like Timo Werner, Kai Havertz struggle in the Premier League. So I think it is always quite a big risk going for a Bundesliga player. A lot of them do struggle to integrate themselves in the Premier League. The only ones I can really think of is Ilkay Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne, who've actually come over from the Bundesliga and done really, really well. Of course, if there are other ones, I think Sadio Mane came from the Australian League, so I don't know if we can count him. Not Australian, sorry, the Austrian League from Salzburg. I believe it was Salzburg. Yeah, a lot of players, Naby Keita, a lot of players do struggle when they come into the Premier League from the Bundesliga. But another Bundesliga player we're interested in is Hincapié. He plays for Bayer Leverkusen. Of course, we know that Tim Steidten has a lot of good ties over in Bayer Leverkusen. He bought a lot of players, and he wants to take those players and bring them to West Ham. Hincapié, I think, will cost a fair bit of money. He's quite young, can play centre-back, can play right-back. So obviously, I think we're looking to get a new right-back and potentially a new left-back in the summer transfer window. Of course, Ian Matson's situation is not resolved at Chelsea yet. His contract, I think, expires at the end of this season, and he said he wouldn't put pen to paper unless his Premier League football is assured by Chelsea. And at the moment, we're not sure what's going on with that. So Creswell as well potentially might leave in the January transfer window. I think he's kind of a little bit more settled than he was originally at the start, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him leave. So we need a new fullback, and Hincapié could play at centre back and right back, similar to Thilo Kehrer, is someone we're heavily interested in at the moment. Look, I think he looks like a good player. I think he probably costs about 25 to 30 million pounds. Young, so he fits the Steidten model. We definitely need a bit more youth in the fullback situation, but I think he's probably more suited to a centre back. I don't think he's the right back that we're looking for. Obviously, you've seen this season, the fullbacks have been heavily involved in our goals and their forward play. And I think that Hincapié is quite a tall, heavy player. I think we probably need someone a little bit more agile, someone who's a little bit better going forward. So I'm not sure if that move is going to materialise, or if it does, I'm not sure if that's going to be at the centre-back option, or if it's going to be signed as a right-back. Of course, as always, with the incomings, there are rumoured outgoings at the moment. Like I said, Antonio potentially may leave. Lucas Paqueta, of course, he was rumoured to leave at the start at the end of the summer transfer window. We don't believe he's going to move in the January transfer window. If anything, we believe that clubs are going to try and sign him in the summer when his £85 million release clause is activated. Whether we get £85 million for him or not, I'm not sure, but at least that sets like a benchmark for other clubs. Other clubs are not going to start a bidding war for him now when we're asking for between 90 and £100 million because we don't want to sell him. When in the next summer transfer window, his absolute top line is going to be £85 million. Clubs can say, I'm going to give you £60 million. And we can say, well, we're not going to sell him. And they know that the absolute top they can get him for is £85 million. So it would make very little sense for us to sell him. It would make very little sense for clubs to go for him when his release clause is here and we're asking for a lot more money. So I don't believe he's going to leave the transfer window. Like I said as well, Aaron Creswell is somebody that was rumoured to leave at the in the summer transfer window. There hasn't been any movement on him so far. Whether we go for a fullback will probably determine that, I think. Another player as well who's attracted a lot of Saudi interest is Kurt Zouma. Obviously, he's just become the new captain of West Ham. So getting him done on a permanent deal, getting him done with a new contract is very, very important. And I think if we can get that over the line and fend off the Saudi interest, then I don't think there'll be any issues there. He loves the club and I think he loves playing for the club. I don't think he has any real desire to play for the Saudi Arabian League, but of course money talks, isn't it? So if they come in with a big offer, if we're going and if we're looking for players like Hincapie at the moment, then potentially Kurt Zouma might be leaving the London Stadium, which would be a big shame, to be fair. I think we need to get his contract done and dusted before the transfer window starts, just to get him confirmed in the squad. We don't really want to be losing another captain so soon. Of course, the January transfer window, the question is, do you try and offload the players who aren't playing well? Do you take a risk and sell a player who's doing really well for you because you can bring in a better player or another player to, mitigate that? Or do you do what most clubs do, which is just maybe get one or two loan signings and just try and keep the club as it is? The last transfer we're going to be talking about today is Emile Smith Rowe. Now, West Ham have been interested in this player for a very, very long time. Similar to Aaron Ramsdale, he's not being picked at all by Mikel Arteta. He's got 18 goals and 11 assists for Arsenal in the professional team. If we look at his 23-24 season, his current season, he's made 2 appearances, both of them on the bench. The previous season, he made 12 appearances, 2 assists. Of course, in his breaking season, the season where he came and really established himself as a good player, he got 10 goals and 2 assists in 33 appearances. And obviously, the season before that, he had a couple of appearances, a couple of goals. So Emile Smith Rowe, I think, is looking to leave Arsenal. West Ham are a club that are heavily interested. And I think that this goes hand in hand as well with Pablo Fornal potentially leaving the club. Emile Smith Rowe, I believe, is 23 years of age. Pablo Fornal is 27, I want to say, about 27 years of age. We know that he's not happy with the first team football at the moment. And to be fair, Said Benrahma as well, he could potentially leave. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves. He's not getting a lot of game time at the moment, and quite a few clubs are interested. So I think one of them two could leave in the January transfer window, which will pave the way for Emile Smith Rowe to come in. Maybe I won't be surprised if maybe we even went for a loan deal for him. He can't really get in ahead of Trossard at the moment. Jesus as well takes up that left-hand side. There's very little space for him to get in. However, I don't think he'd come to West Ham if you've got Pablo Fornal and Said Benrahma both ahead of him, or even if they're not ahead of him. Having that sort of competition is quite a lot for a player. So I'd be surprised if we signed him and then also kept Benrahma and also kept Fornals, because the amount of competition you have, you wouldn't be able to keep any of those players happy. Fornals and Benrahma as it is are not happy with the way the games are going. And when we played Benrahma solidly, you could tell that Fornals was chomping at the bit to try and get back in the team. So whether we say to Fornals, right, you're going to be a midfield option, but again, he wouldn't get ahead of Alvarez, he wouldn't get ahead of Paqueta, and he wouldn't get ahead of James Ward-Prowse, and obviously Thomas Souček as well at the moment. As much as I would love to see someone like Fornals or Kudus integrated instead of him, is playing really well and is obviously a fan favourite by Moyes. So I don't see him going to the midfield. I don't see him getting his position back at the left. He wants to go back to Spain. I believe Villarreal are interested in bringing him back. So I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves in the January transfer window, and that would pave the way for Emile Smith Rowe. So, of course, Hammers, to summarise, we are interested in a striker. I think that is the number one priority in the January transfer window. Garassi and Awani are the names being linked at the moment. Of course, we did have big links with Hugo Ekitike as well. And there are other players, I think, that eventually will be integrated and will be suggested. Danny Ings could leave as well to pave the way for this. Kurt Zouma potentially has a Saudi move on the horizon, but I think we'll get a deal done contract-wise to get him solidified with the club and following the footsteps of Jared Bowen. But we are interested in Hincapié, so whether we go for him, various Zouma deal or not, I'm not sure, but I imagine we will. We're also interested in Emile Smith Rowe, but I think if he signs, it'll be dependent on if Pablo Fornal leaves. He's got links away to Villarreal. And that is to summarise your January transfer window. Of course, we will bring you the updates when we have it. I think the transfer window is now 2 months away or so. So, of course, anything that happens at the moment, it's just going to be paper talk. It's just going to be preparation for that January transfer window. But yeah, it looks like at least we're going to be making moves in the January transfer window. I definitely think that a striker is our number one priority.